Yeah, I feel good. This is for the blooper reel, the B reel. Oh wait, now you got the blanket, right? Hang on.
Yeah, I'm kind of in there. A little contrast.
Yeah, I'm feeling cozy now. All right. Building the B reel.
World.
Building the B reel.
Yeah.
Soul sister.
Soul sister.
How are ya?
I'm great. I'm happy.
Good.
To be back, seeing my friends.
Yeah, I know. It's so good to have you in town because I miss you.
Listen, if anybody wants to up their game in a social life, move away and then come back for a week. And it's like, what's happening?
Everybody clamors to you. Like, ah.
It's like from 0 to 10.
And then you have to leave. Yeah.
Aww. Yeah. But it's been great. So I'm good, you know.
Good.
In the riding of the waves, I'm in a kind of a crest. So I'm not being slammed down currently, and I'm not riding the top of it, but such is life.
That's true. That's true.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. I'm glad that we get to sit in person.
Me too.
With our blankies
and our coffee. I like it.
I do too.
So thanks for coming to do it live, because I know it's kind of.
Yeah, this is different.
This is a different thing.
This is different, but I like it.
So, you know, changing it up, being creative.
Creativity. Hey, if you give me a blanket, I can get cozy. I can usually get really creative.
Mm-hmm.
When you jammies, I don't have any jammies on.
That's all right. You know, we're good. We're cozy.
Well, Lauri, you have inspired me a lot over the years, and a lot of other people as well. And one of the things that you have taught me specifically is making connections with people outside of my circle, building community. And I think that is so important, especially now. I think we need more connections in the world and with others and people that we wouldn't normally connect with, because we kind of get lost in our own little world. Yeah,
we do. Absolutely. You know, we do. And I get it. You know, it's really something I think you have to be aware of. Like, you have to be intentional about it. Otherwise, that's where the bubble comes from to begin with. You know, well, thank you. Because
thank you.
That is important to me, you know, community.
And you've done a lot to build community and to bring people together, to bring people and artists together, because music is such a huge part of your life. Mm-hmm. So tell me about ParlourV and what that original spark was. Tell me what ParlourV is. Go back to the beginnings of it, but what was that spark that really made you say, this is a thing I want to do?
Yeah. Well, I mean, ParlourV were in their house parties for people who don't know. And I guess, and there's nothing original in that in and of itself. But a few years ago, I had a dream and my friends were performing in my house. And it was a good dream, you know, because it was just music in the house and best friends that were playing. And
like a nighttime dream? Like
I was asleep. Yeah.
I don't think I knew that aspect of ParlourV. I'm not sure if I knew that's how it actually started.
Yeah. And so my friend Cassandra, I told her about the dream. And this was during a time where I'm suddenly finding myself living alone. And the next day, I mean, and it was a great dream, but it just stayed with me in a way that was like, why can't Jonathan and Cassandra play in my house? Which then turned into this whole runaway horse, as my mind will do. And so I was talking to Cassandra one day, and I told her about the dream and stuff. And I told her, and I was like, you know what? I think it's about more than that, though. I think I need to make a thing out of that. And like Nashville's completely filled with singer-songwriter things. And a lot of artists do private things in people's homes, you know, for money or just at a friendship or charity or whatever. But I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we kind of did something that could even be sort of branded out and they were done in different cities? That was sort of like the big long range plan. And of course, life gets in the way of many things. And, you know, it's not to say that that still couldn't happen. But my idea was just because I owned the catering company and hospitality is like a big thing for me. I thought these things need to be on the game now, right? Bring some, you know, have some good food and wine. And I thought, and I want to do artists who are a little different, like not just musicians. So I thought, why not give authors, you know, if they want to read something, or poets, or, I mean, so we had improv, 2-person improv authors, you know, and poets that would sort of be sandwiched in between a couple of artists, musician artists. The idea was to have them in a home setting, you know, and be intimate. And the idea was, in the community building aspect of it, was to not have everybody, you know, come. Like I wanted each individual musician to invite somebody.
Right.
Right. So, and with having 3 minimum artists there that would be performing, and sometimes it was duets or what have you, even when had full band, you know, a couple times. But, you know, it was like, I'm going to rely on that because they're probably going to know people that don't know anybody else. And I loved that.
Yeah.
And it worked. And of course, my friends were almost fillers, you know, but they were people who I knew would just love these and would help support them in a way that would tell people about them and things like that. And also help me find other artists, because a lot of my friends are artists. Of course, you know my theory about that. We're all artists.
Right.
But
we are.
A lot of my friends are artists and they recognize it.
Right.
Type artists. So that I was in a good position to fuel that environment, you know? And so Cassandra helped me early on with kind of like pipe dreaming it. And, you know, her and I are the ones that kind of battled on what should we call them. And so ParlourV was born out of her and I's conversation. And, you know, I got the banner. So the artist had a little backdrop and wanted to make it feel like we were creating an art space, but at the same time, the community part of it was really important to me.
It was cozy.
It was cozy.
It was
and people always, right. And people always met somebody they didn't know, right?
Right. But you somehow, by the end of the evening, you felt like they were your friends, like they had been your friends for a while,
Right.
like they were family. There was just something really special that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been a part of something quite like it before. You left Nashville. You left us all. Okay. You just up and abandoned us, which we're not upset about, but we miss you, to go and embark on an adventure of a lifetime. And so you sold probably half of your possessions or more. I don't know. You sold a lot of stuff and packed the dog up. Beautiful Savvy, who has her own Facebook page. So people should check out Dang It Savvy. And what in the world are you doing?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah. What's happening with Lauri Day?
That is the $1 million question. Well, listen, I never left with a map. I had a compass, and I knew for me to embark in a way that would make me dive into doing my own art, and specifically writing. And I've been wanting to start a podcast, which we probably will talk about that for a second, but that's been on my heart for a long time. Writing is something I've been doing for a long time, but never anything to completion, you know? And every time I would get back to writing, I never liked what I was doing before, or because I had such a fresh motivation that I would start another. So it's kind of like you got the files of unfinished work. And, you know, a lot of life just hurls at you pretty fast and hard.
Yeah, life jumps out at me and then shoves me to the ground.
Throws things off into the ditch. And by the time you're kind of dusting yourself off, you got other things to contend with. And you're like, yeah, I know that thing's still there. And this is what I came to the conclusion of. I have to get rid of a lot of stuff for me, I think, to feel like I can indulge in the way that I can complete some projects, that I can grab a hold of one of the things I've wanted to do and be consistent with it and see where it goes, like the podcast or blog, things like that. Because I've just been living a life of too much distraction. And I am kind of an easily distracted person.
I am too.
Anyway, I can really hone in and focus when I've got space. And I just haven't felt that way in a long time. It was the constant grind of making the bills, and catering jobs would pop up and they take a lot of energy. And then you'd get kind of like, oh, I was just starting that. Now I got to jump back into that. And I just realized, it's like my financial footprint is too big here. Downsizing was just what I had in my mind. And I was looking at maybe even smaller towns around Nashville, even getting so far as an hour or more away. And I was like, I don't think that downsize is small enough.
How small did you go?
Well, I smalled myself into some stuff here in a 5x10 storage, or is it 5x15, whatever, because, and listen, I smalled myself into having no bricks and mortar at all. So when I left, I loaded up my Ford Escape with what I was going to be taking, stored stuff, and then, and my dog had the whole back seat. So I had the very back of the Escape. The front seat was like to the roof. I had a soft topper on the top, and Savvy had the back seat. That's what I took with me. And the compass said, we're going to Nebraska, and we're going to move in with my brother. God love him.
Mark.
And, yes. And Mark is going to help me get a van. And that's going to be my new.
Down by the river?
Let's hope not, but if it's got the right view and no one will kick me off, why not? I like river life.
Yes. Hashtag river life.
Yeah. So my brother's been a big play in this sort of loose plan. And of course, once you don't have a house anymore, and I don't really have a job anymore, you kind of go, there ain't much turning around. I mean, of course, I could always change my mind in a major way or whatever, and build to the point where I need to get that back activated. But I feel like that's a closed road. And I needed it to feel like a closed road,
Yeah.
For now, because that was the whole point. Get a smaller footprint, make it so that you don't have to make as much money every month. You got so much less. I mean, listen, I've taken myself down to like 2/3 of what it costs me monthly to live.
That's awesome.
And
that's a great goal.
Yeah. And just freeing my mind up like that, because that's always just been a constant struggle.
It's very freeing.
Yes.
It sounds like, to do that.
And I've been self-employed almost my entire life. So, there's ebbs and flows, and,
yes.
And it's always can be stressful. And then with COVID, it was like, yeah, that's stressful. So I'm like, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of relying on my own job.
These dang jobs.
Yeah. And we know, I didn't own a house, so I didn't have anything to sell that was big, but it was easy to fold it up, and I had a sneaking suspicion that my lease was not going to be renewed, but I decided to do this, and then did find out a couple months later that yes, in fact, they are not renewing your lease. I was like, okay, I took that as a sign. Yeah. Because honestly, the rent, listen,
Nashville.
At some point, we're all going to be trying to live in a van. So when I started researching this stuff, I was like, holy cow, with the hashtags and the Instagrams and the Facebook groups and the subgroups of van life groups.
Hashtag van
Listen, my
life.
feed and my phone is like a third of it's van groups. But that's how I did my research, because I wanted to hear about people who are doing it.
How's the van build going?
The van build's going. So
can people find pictures of it?
Yeah, but I'm probably
Facebook?
going to start. I haven't done that much on Instagram. And so I'm probably going to start firing that up a little bit more in succession, because it's been like a lot of time gap in between having something fresh. So I've been purposefully waiting to get closer to when I'm actually leaving before I launch the blog and the social media part of it, so I have so I have content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because I'm not traveling yet. And because Mark and I are working with schedules and a lot of stuff that's come up this summer, it's just been, it's going to get done when it gets done, And Mark, if you're listening to this, you shouldn't be pressured. All I got is a van and a storage shed and a German Shepherd, but I have the treasures of humans. Oh, and that's really what I've spent my life gathering.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't even recognize the magnitude of how much my love for community has made me the richest person I know.
Absolutely.
And I know people all over the country, So I'm not really like where a lot of van people are doing it really to travel. That's just the thing that would be sort of like the obvious, but I'm not doing it for the sake of travel is not my priority. I've been very fortunate. I've done quite a bit of travel, and I've done a lot of camping, and I love the nature thing. So, I mean, it suits my, my love of nature, and it's
Lauri in the wild.
Nature is very much the biggest inspiration to me. Yeah. As far as something that's always available, Absolutely. I love it, but I'm not going to be doing really so much a travel thing. It's more just going to lead into, maybe if it had a theme, somebody who's doing a creative out of the box pivot in life to chase those creative things in a more intentional way. It's kind of my journey. Honestly, at my age, for me to have left catering, which was a big decision, but one I've wanted to happen for many, many years.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of times it was like, why haven't you folded this thing up yet? And then things happen and you go, okay, that's why maybe, you still kind of need it. And I never hated it, but there was other things I wanted to do so strongly for a very long time.
Well, being willing to make changes, being willing to switch things up is important for anything artistic and for the creative process, and not giving up, because sometimes, like you said, life throws things at you and you're just like, well, there went everything. And instead of being defeatist about it, finding something new to spark, in that moment 100%. Is so important. And I'm preaching to myself, because I hit those moments where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't finish this project or this thing,
The biggest thing I've finished was this decision to do this. That's kind of what I feel like.
And look where it's taking you. You don't know the exact end, but you know that you're going to hit so many interesting plot points.
I knew I had to generate an entire new income stream, artistic endeavors. It has to be, and some of that has to be connected, because I just gave up my money stream. Right. And at 60,
that forces you to be creative right there.
And I've always lived a creative, self-employed life.
Yeah.
And I feel like at 60, you go, okay, I'm living on my own now. And do I see myself as a 70-year-old caterer if God gives me that many days? You know what I mean? No, I don't. No, I don't. So the decision, after everything that happened in the last few years, my life just, my footprint was getting smaller on me, even beyond my control. And so when I was just hit with that inspiration of going, you just need to really small it up now. Just go.
Yeah.
And that was probably the biggest, scariest things I've done, and I feel like I completed something. I completed making a decision that's going to lead to the compass without a map. And so that in and of itself, I have to remind myself, and thanks for having me, so I can hear myself talk sometimes, to realize that in and of itself should be a piece of, inspiration for myself, because I've done weird, out of the box, challenging, scary things before, but it's been a long time,
Well, this takes a lot of courage. And so having the courage to just go for it, and having the courage to fail, because we don't have to succeed at every single thing. Sometimes we stop ourselves,
right?
Because it's like, what if I don't make this? What if I fail? What if this doesn't work out? Okay, but you're going to learn things. You're going to learn things through that, and it's going to lead you to something else. Yes. And you're going to encourage others in the process. That's nice. So important.
Well, that's probably my purpose. If somebody had to drill me down, the meaning of my life, I'm pretty sure, is just to not do things how other people think they should look.
Finding your space
and encouraging people whenever they have an idea for anything. I would like to think I'm encouraging. Now, and some people I'm a little harder on them than others, and I like to purposefully play devil's advocate sometimes, just to see what their answers are, because I like being drilled down on like that.
Yeah.
Because if you run to the defense of yourself, then you're onto something.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
So
wow.
I think challenging people like that, and people challenging me like that, is what it's about. It's how you get the sort of oomph. But the smartest thing I did, accidentally on purpose, have no idea. But when I got this idea, I pretty much didn't sit on it for months. I started telling people right away.
That is important.
And that's
because that makes it real. And then now you put it out there. Yes. And now you have to.
And it was such a big, weird thing. It was such a big, weird thing. It's like, what happened to that big, weird thing you just told me that kind of blew my mind? You know what I mean? No, you can't you can talk about business ideas or an art thing you want to do, and then you just never get around to it, because I've shared thousands of those.
Yeah.
But this was a sort of much larger in scope of what I knew it would even do to people to tell them.
Yeah.
I cornered myself.
You made it real. It got real quick.
One of the first people I called was my brother, because I thought he would be the challenger. I thought he was going to be one of the ones that would be just like, be scared for me, or, be
what are you doing?
Concerned, or kind of like, what, or something like that. And so when he said, he listened to me, get through my little rant about it. And I addressed some of the things. I tried to spit it out really fast that I knew his mind might jump to. And, after a little bit of a rant, he just goes, I don't see anything wrong with this plan. And it was such a relief and a disappointment at the same time.
You were ready to defend it. You were like, I've got this.
I wonder what I've got. If he throws a bunch of stuff at me that I haven't thought of. Because like I said, I didn't wait a long time before I started telling people so clearly. I had not thought of all the things that I came to think of. That's why when most people say something to me now, it's just like, I wish you'd throw me something new. Because I know there's things I haven't thought of, but no one's come up with them yet.
But I think
you don't know till you know.
A big killer of dreams sometimes is overthinking. We overthink something.
Hello. Yeah, sure.
And then we talk ourselves out of it. And it could have been wonderful.
Yeah.
But instead of just kind of going for it and see where it leads, we just kind of shut ourselves down.
Sure. And that's the societal voices. That's the in the box voices, you're going to have to confront. And that's, bucking societal norms and people who don't live that way or do things that you're talking about, or so and it's your own self-negative resistance talk, and it's too easy to, oh yeah, that's nuts, because it's some loud stuff.
Oh, I could never.
That's some pretty loud stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been so loud for me throughout my entire life, as far as recognizing my own artistry in things that I've always thought I wanted to do. Oh, listen, I told you, I got the armies of resistance. that I built.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I put up roadblocks all the time.
Yeah. So,
and then sometimes we feel safety in those roadblocks. I think we
Mhm.
build our own nest, this comfort zone where we have kind of told ourselves, oh, it's safer in here.
Yes.
And I'm kind of
Yes.
shielded. I don't want to peek out and see what's going on over
Yeah.
there. And that's, yeah, it's cozy, but then you're limiting yourself and you're not finding that true joy, that part of yourself that, you know, what your full potential. So
I feel like, just reflecting in my own life, that it's like the more comfortable you are in the tangible world, you know, you go home, you like what you see. You open the fridge, you like what you see. You get in your car, you like what you drive. You go to the job, you like the check. You get the job, you go, yeah, I like that. You know, you get the friends that comfort builds walls to a certain extent because it's external. So what I can look back on and think about being the most comfortable, I can actually think back about and feeling the most depraved.
well, there's no drive, no push.
Exactly.
For more.
It's a muse killer.
To reach for something. It absolutely is a muse killer.
And it opens yourself to hear the dark voice even more. So my new motto is comfort's a killer.
Comfort's a killer. Yeah, get uncomfortable. We need to be
to be uncomfortable.
We learn when we're uncomfortable.
I like to be a little edgy about not knowing. I like the creativity of survival.
Oh, yes.
I really do.
Absolutely.
And listen, it's a good thing I feel that way, because I feel like in the times we live in, things are going to get so shaken up that it's going to be so hard on so many people.
Yeah.
That I think I'm nut job for even saying that, but we'll come to find out that, wait, maybe that's something that I could have intentionally tried to exercise a little bit. You know, we can just do with so much less than we do with, you know, and I'm still having to downsize my clothes again.
Oh man,
I like my clothes.
I need to work on that.
I like my clothes. And it's funny, it's ironic because, you know, I hardly have any place to wear them anymore. And doing what I've done for a living and stuff, it's not like I dress up for my work or whatever, but clothes has always been a thing to me. They're art, right? I've always loved clothes as art. And I love clothes as identifying your creativity on the inside of a person by what they wear. That's how I met Dee. She liked my hat and my shirt. Dee's proof of what amazing. I'm saying. I know.
Love Dee.
I know. I listened to you guys last night.
Did you watch? It was
great
show?
Fun. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. No, she was a hoot. That was.
She's
great.
Awesome. And I think a best friend came out of a hat. So I think it makes my point.
There's a story in there. Yes. So while you're on the road, #van life, there's a story in there. A friend that came out of a hat.
There's so many stories in here.
There's so many stories. There's muse stories. We could talk about that another time.
my suicidal muse.
Yeah, your suicidal muse. Yeah, that's one. We got to keep that under wraps. So because that really could be a big thing. We don't want to give too much info.
No,
away.
Okay, we won't. Okay.
All right. So people, if they want to follow you, if I want to follow you on social media and see what you're doing, what this van life is bringing, you know, where do I find you?
Well, Lauri Day.
Lauri Day. Lauri.
Lauri.
Okay.
Facebook.
Day.
Yes. Instagram, Lauri, Lauri_day.
Okay.
And if you want to follow my dog, it's Dang It Savvy, SAVVY, because Savvy is going to be writing a book once we hit the road. So I'm hoping to do a children's book based on my dog's travels in a van from a dog's perspective. She's got a lot of ideas.
She is fantastic. I love Savvy so much.
So we are trying to bump up Savvy's page for that purpose down the road. So thank you. If anybody wants to.
Well, I'm following.
Get a few
Savvy's page.
German Shepherd. She's a knucklehead.
She is great.
So
I could cuddle with her all day. I love her.
And I'm giving her a job finally. You know, German Shepherds like jobs.
They do.
But there'll be a blog. A blog will be sent out, but I'll when I have that address, I'll get it out on my social media stuff. So I'm hoping to launch that in the next month.
Good. Oh, I can't wait.
And I'm also going to be launching a thing to whereby I'm going to be helping people walk through taking their kids out of school. Because that's something where I feel like I can help people, you know?
Yeah.
So, and we're also going to be starting a podcast. So big thing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about it because you and I definitely come up with different things. And I like the idea of a conversational podcast more than my voice. Cringe. Okay.
You just have to overlook it. That's what I've discovered.
I know. Listen, and whether I really have things that people want to hear or need to hear, it helps to hear what I don't know. But I think it'll be fun. It'll be humorous, but I think we're going to be doing serious truth bombs.
There you go. Oh, truth bombs.
We're going to be salty.
Salty bombs.
Yeah. You know, because we both have that thing about education.
Yeah.
That we both feel so strongly about. And that we both feel so strongly about tapping into the creativity flow.
Yes.
And that right there is a pretty good basis for a pretty great podcast.
I think so too.
So I'm excited about that.
Well, Lauri, thank you so much for talking with me. Thank you for inspiring me and other people to love each other, to build community, to build connections, and to be creative, because that has been your story is, I think, inspiring others around you to do what they have it in them to do, but maybe didn't fully realize. And I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you. I love you, soul sister.
I love you too.
Soul sister. Peace.
All right. Whoa, be real.
Mm-hmm.